As written.
Key of B minor.
You're playing it in B minor?
B minor. As in boy.
Does this sound better? Try it again.
You're in the key of A minor now. I mean, that's the key you're playing in. Well, I mean, it's either you play it or I'll play it. I'll play you both from that. See, that's it. Right, right. I mean, I've been playing it in B minor the whole time. I know, and that's for the guitar. The guitar. Bobby sings it in. No, he doesn't. He may think he sings it. I always play it in B minor. You ready to start?
Well, go ahead. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We begin our
Shabbat
service
Shalom.
with Hine Matov on page 128. We read together the top of page 124. We enter the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold, weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak. Let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayers. We turn to page 120 for our candlelight blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalik shel Shabbat.
For those who are able, we rise together for our Kiddush, the top of page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikrah kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta v'yatzanu kidashta Mikomim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
The top of page 127. Please be seated. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand and wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We turn to page 130.
Lekun Adonai Nadia, Letzur Yisheru. Lekun Adonai Nadia, Letzur Yisheru. Lekan Afanav B'todah, Nizmirot Nadia lo. Lekun Adonai Nadia, Letzur Yisheru. Lekan Afanav B'todah, Nizmirot Nadia lo. Ki el gadol Adonai, u'melech gadol Asher lo hayam bevazahu v'yavesh et yadav yad zaru ki Eloheinu v'yanachnu amirito b'tzod yado.
We turn to page 138 with the conclusion of Kabbalat Shabbat with Lachad Odeh. For those who are able, we rise together to greet Shabbat HaMalkah. The bottom of page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue with our Chetzi Kaddish right there, 144. those who are able, we rise together, 146. We read together at the top of page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim, on the next page.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohav Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai נפשך חומרתך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר נוחים מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך כדיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות הידך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך בישערך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים ללכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue together at the top of page 157, and please join me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Our song of freedom, redemption, our Michal Mocha 158. The top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Our Hashkivenu 160.
Spread the
163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru 162.
Visham meru v'nei Yisrael at HaShabbat, at HaShabbat. Lasot et HaShabbat lidorotam berit olam bein ofen b'nei Yisrael oti leolam bein ofen b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Hi sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'ataretz uvayom et hashvi Shabbat vayinafar.
We continue together, the middle of page 165. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. For those who are able, we rise together for our tefillah 166.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'avoteinu v'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Hayon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imot, u'mevii gula lifnei b'nei Ham, l'ma'an shemo b'yahava, melech ozer Moshe u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah, Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, HaKadosh.
The top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We turn to page 174 with Aritzeh.
Tefillah
We continue together at the top of page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Make contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of thy name hallow every home and every heart. Praise you, eternal one, who blesses our people with peace. The top of page 178. We take a few moments for our own prayers or reflections. At this moment in our service, we take time to think of those in our community who need a healing of body or spirit. We take time to think of Linda Applebaum, Margaret Bell, Harold Seitlin, Deborah Chargois, Karen Edwards, Hannah Fox, Melinda Gammon, Edward Goldberg, Jeffrey Goldman, Josie Hatfield, Sissy Held, Evelyn Held, Donald Himmel, Joan Jacobson, Corey Kessler, Bart Kolber, Jerry Lapidus, Wayne Lewis, Ashley Meyerson, Marlene Meyerson, Jeffrey Muss, Carol Pizitz, Susan Schumann, Leslie Simon, Chrissy St. Charles, Brenda Weinstein, and Carol Wright. For those with us this evening, if you are thinking of a loved one, someone dear to you, we invite you to share their name out loud as my eyes meet yours. Andrew. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, we continue with our Misha Berach 371. This email was dated to my congregation January 9th, 2015. We at Temple Solel hope the Shabbat message finds all of you well. As many Jews worldwide welcome the Sabbath bride tonight, our Parisian Jewish family will not stand, face the west, and see her beauty in their synagogues. In light of the horrid terrorist attacks on Wednesday at Charlie Hebdo and the kosher deli in eastern Paris, Parisian rabbis, Jewish leaders instructed French Jews to stay home tonight, the most sacred time for Jews. Additionally, police ordered Jewish store owners in the Moray neighborhood to close as a precaution. Parisian Jews are not capitulating to terrorism. Parisian Jews are not rejecting the beauty of Shabbat. They're not violating Jewish law. They're embodying the essence of Judaism, which teaches us that human life is essential. Our sacred literature obligates Jews to save life when in jeopardy, pikuach nefesh. Moreover, Jewish law allows us to suspend Shabbat when a community or an individual face immediate danger. Our Parisian Jewish family will honor this law on Shabbat. As I conclude in this message, they will not enter their sacred houses of worship. We proud American Jews and Temple Solel members, we stand, we face the West and welcome the Sabbath bride. We will pray for our Parisian Jews and all Parisians who experience hatred and evil of terrorism. Tonight, our voices will sing loudly and proudly for these Jews and all victims of terror. Lo tamad al dam recha. We do not stand idly by when a person's in danger. And tonight, we are not standing idly by in solidarity and hope for the day when the world will be one long Shabbat. This email was dated to this congregation December 2019. Shabbat Shalom. The Muncie Jewish community was viciously attacked over the weekend, adding to the epidemic of violent anti-Semitic attacks, especially in New York, Brooklyn, and New Jersey. Temple Emanu-El prays for the healing of all those who have been injured. We also pray for the safety of the Jewish people, whether in the tri-state area, the United States, England, France, Israel, or wherever Jews find themselves. When any Jew is targeted, whether one is Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, or the Hasidim, every Jew shares the pain. Anti-Semitism does not care about levels of observance. It seeks only to eradicate any Jew. Tonight is the last day of Hanukkah, a holiday that celebrates our resilience, our courage, and the strength of the Jewish people. Let us remember the tenets of this holiday. We must protect each other. We must advocate for each other, regardless of movement. Right now, more than ever, we must be proud of our Judaism. Our light will always shine, even during the darkest hours. I assume many people in this congregation was expecting some type of email regarding Texas this past week. When I stand here on this bema, 140 years of generational history, I think I'm obligated to speak the truth. As I look back at these words, and this is my opinion, you're entitled to disagree, I call this word salad. I just look back and I feel that they are empty words. I felt that each time I write such a thing like this, I get my yotzi, and that's a halachic understanding. You get your good mitzvah check that I did something. For this time, I couldn't find a way to do it. And I know that other Jewish nonprofits and synagogues, they all notified their congregations to messages like these. But here's something that bothered me. So many of these Jewish nonprofits and so many of these synagogues, they have been absolutely silent regarding ongoing attacks against Jewish people, against the onslaught of college students. And for once, this is something that I did not want to emulate. When I became your rabbi, when I was elected to be your rabbi, December of 2018, I think at that moment and during my installation, I have an obligation to all of you. What I'm going to say tonight may be difficult to hear. I won't be surprised if the emails come, the text will come, the phone will ring, but I'm speaking from the heart. As I said during my Yom Kippur sermon, I want my words to be on the record. They are mine. And above all, what I say tonight, I will own it. I will not apologize, and I will not try to rationalize them. I understand there could be consequences, but these are the consequences I will take on. It is what it is. The first thing that I want to say, it is not an act of courage to celebrate Shabbat at shul. And I've seen all these recent articles. I strongly disagree. Reality matters. Since the destruction of the first temple in 586 BCE and the second in 70 CE, we've been hated for nearly 2,500 years. Even with such even with the 80th anniversary of the Manasseh Conference, and this is the conference when they all got together to discuss the final solution, we are still standing here. The core premise of the state of Israel is that we are no longer sheep. We will fight and we will defend. And we have to understand the realization that we need to protect Jewish life at all cost. It's not an act of bravery of coming to Shabbat services. Those are men and women in uniform, here in America or in the IDF. It's about being smart. So Saturday, when all of this was going down, I contacted my resource at the city. I ensured that Temple Bethel and our temple had additional security. And the greatest outreaching rabbi I've ever seen in my life, my friend, my co-redheaded rabbi on Overton Road, Rabbi Levi Weinbaum, his work with the Sheriff's Department has been absolutely extraordinary. After Shabbos ended, the sheriff called up and said, "We will do anything to protect Jewish life here in Jefferson County." And here's my second point. This is what Charlie experienced last Saturday. An Islamic terrorist in Texas targeted a synagogue because he hated Jews and he wanted Afa Siddiqui, which her name is Lady Al-Qaeda, a person who wanted to murder thousands in New York using a dirty bomb to kill millions, free from prison. She's a radical leftist celebrity, a battling cry for the Council of American Islamic Relations and Linda Sarsour. This is a person who wanted Jews off of her trial as jury members, and she also believed that it was the Jews that orchestrated her trial. Who wants her back? ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Pakistan. They all want her back. So for the nation's top police force and those who hold the highest office, for their first reaction to suggest that this wasn't a Jew hatred is mind-boggling to me. This terrorist did not target this synagogue because there were Jews there praying on Shabbat is mind-boggling to me. Here's my third point. Since last week, I've only heard from two interfaith friends. Once again, like May and June, absolutely nothing from across the street. Absolutely nothing from the majority of our interfaith leaders. Absolutely nothing from the mayor's office. Absolutely nothing from his interfaith team. Absolutely nothing from the Department of Social Justice and Equity. And for those who are wondering about social justice and equity positions, there was a recent report that indicated what did this position or groups target the most? Israel. And this has been the common trend of many of my colleagues. We are allowed to be angry about this. Their silence on this one, once again, of the ongoing Jewish hate is noted. The New York Times buried the story. In our humble opinion with my colleagues, it didn't find the Pittsburgh or Poway narrative. A white supremacist did not enter the synagogue this time. In New York City alone, there have been non-stop attacks against the Jewish community. They're not by white supremacists. This actually shocked the former mayor. This wasn't newsworthy. Just like Yosef Newman of blessed memory, who was murdered in Muncie, Sarah Halimi, who was murdered in Paris, in Jersey City in 2019 when the Black Israelite congregation murdered 4 Jews and tried to kill hundreds of Jewish school children. Again, nothing was picked up by the media. Why do we think? 500% uptick in Jew-hating attacks in May and June alone. These past couple of years have been absolutely horrible. From white supremacy to all forms of Jew-hating beliefs from radical Islam. In Pittsburgh, I can't speak what happened here, only what we did in San Diego. These rallies became a rally for all forms of hate. They completely buried who suffered the most. That was the Jewish people. The same thing happened in Poway. I went to Poway High School for that rally, and once again, this attack was against the Jewish people, and it became a cry, a fight against all forms of hate, once again, totally alienated why we were here. And another example, I have no shame saying this, when Ilhan Omar once again made her vile Jew hatred comments, Congress was going to censor her for her Jew hatred, but they decided to protect her and lump all forms of hate together. It doesn't fit the story, and you know what story I'm talking about. As I think about what happened, so many Jews have capitulated to be part of secular causes. We see this especially in the college campus, thinking that they step back from Israel especially, or their Jewish identity, they will be accepted. It doesn't matter at the end. Rabbi Charlie, myself, my friends on Overton Road, we all have different types of Jewish beliefs. They all hate us. It applies like it did during the Wanasi Conference as it does today. And we still haven't learned. And I'm going to say this because I can. The Reform movement especially doesn't get it. We have so many members of our congregation, so many members of Judaism in North America. We have congregants who are spiritually hurting. They are suffering financially, depression, anxiety. People are sick, people in the hospital. And here's what the movement is just fixated on: intersectionality, allyship, and quote unquote, getting in our headspace. We're facing a battle against white supremacism, but on the other battle from the alt-left, which is the dominant voice, look at the mainstream media. Jews are no longer the victims. And here is this ideological logic. If we are or were successful, it came at the oppression of others. My smicha in my office, it's not about John Rawls' social justice, the redistribution of wealth. It's not about intersectionality or equity or compromising hundreds of years of alienating Am Yisrael for the sake to fit in on mostly disingenuous causes. It's about to love God. It's about to love Torah. It's about to love Israel. I believe we need a reset. And I'm not surprised we haven't had this. And I'm not surprised why we haven't heard from our interfaith partners. We don't need their approval. So many Jews in so many different centuries, as much as we were oppressed, we did everything we could to be a light unto the nations. And I like to say that Israel is the best example on this because it is one of the most progressive countries in the world. Here's my other point. I think it's time for us to do our due diligence. I don't care what political party, I don't care what nonprofit. If anyone winks, flirts, or nods with any entity that is a Jew hater, we must step back and fight against it. This past week, I realized that I am so tired of Jewish movements and labels. We've talked too much about too many social issues that doesn't maintain Jewish life, and right now, we are continue to suffer with our affiliation rates. The path we're going on, especially in the national movement, isn't working. It's ultra-crepidarianism. We're speaking out of our skill set. Judaism is about love of Torah. It's about comfort. It's about being there for those who are facing an illness or those who experienced a death. I know by definition I am a Reform rabbi, but I am committed to all Jews. We may disagree on matters of Jewish law, but it's all about Am Yisrael. It's Torah. It's a celebration of being Jewish. As I said during the high holidays, this Jewish community here in Birmingham has the potential to unify. The old days are over. This city can absolutely be an example of Jewish coexistence, celebrating our love of Torah, celebrating our love of learning from Torah, celebrating at the Shabbos dinner, making sure our kids go to Jewish summer camp, going to Israel, adult learning, and Jewish youth group. At the end of Kabbalat Shabbat, we sang Boi Kala as we welcomed the Sabbath bride. My rabbinate is about welcoming the Jewish people regardless of levels of halakha. For Judaism to be successful and for Jews to be proud, it's time to get back to prayer. It's time to commit ourselves to our Torah, the blueprint for our life. It's time to get back to mitzvot and experiencing with the richness of our tradition for all Jews and our true partners. The ball is in our corner. I know that some want me to be some type of activist. I am an activist. I'm activist for the Jewish people. These are my words, and as long as I'm your rabbi, I will fight for the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom. For those who are able, we rise together, Aleinu 586.
Al tiri l'shabeach l'adon hakol, atit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo sanagiri haratzot, velo samanuk mishpachot ha'adamah, shelo samchakedu kocham, v'gora ledu kachol hamonah.
When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a world will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as, in their highest moment, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of I, Julian Ayland, I, Jay Ahrens, Ruth Applebaum, Phyllis Sherman Bass, Sable Eugene Baum, Daniel Mark Blitz, Henry Booksman, Rachel Turner, Therese Clark, Felice Hannon Cohen, Melvin Cohen, Isaac Eli Cohen, Marco Cohen, Mitchell Cotton, Carlotta Holzer Dorn, Judy Edmiston, Irving Fies, Julia Sachs Freebaum, Minnie Friedman, Jacob Friedman, Hermione Friend, Harold Goldman, Jerry Richard Goldstein, Herman Grabov, Elizabeth A. Garcio, Claire Gervich, Jimmy Hess, Edwin J. Hiller, Basil Isaac Herskovitz, Abe Kamensky, Adolf Kessler, Mildred Lapidus, Scott William Leader, Gazilla Lightman, Elkin Leva, Angel Lichtenstein, Lois Joan Matz, Herman May, Florence Lorch Mayer, Julie Munsky Metzger, Rose Mayer, Willeen Engel Mitnick, Francis Munchkasane, Sidney Patterson, Leo Reitman, Bertha Rosenfeld, Doris Rubenstein, Gloria Spire-Sag, Nathan Sachs, Minnie S. Sachs, Arthur Scharf, Celia Miriam Sugarman, Sarah Karen Simon, Abe Stein, William Strauss, Dorothy Peterson Stewart, Betty Vine, Irvin B. Warner, Sarah Weinberg, Margaret Hirschweiss, Ray Wender, and Louise Side. Our heartfelt condolences on the recent passing of Lynn Harris Spielberger Bloomston, mother of Wendy Rudkoff. Alice Huell Brooks, grandmother of Daniel Adrezin. Maida Himmel, mother of Deborah Abulafia, and Frida K. Roth, mother of Neil Roth. We rise together as a united congregation for a Martyrs' Kaddish, the top of page 598. Yikadal Vikada Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bioma Divrach Hirote Vamlich Malchute. Bachayachon Vyomechon Uvkayet the Kol Beit Yisrael. Bagala Wizman Kariv Yimru.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Leolam Alameo Maya. Yibarach Vishabach Hit Ba'ard Hit Ramam Nihit Nase. Vitadar Vitalev Vitalel Shmei Kudsha. Le'ela Mikol Birchata Bashirata. Tushbechata Benechamata. Damwin Rami Amav Yimru.
Amen.
Osei Shalom Bimromav. Huya Say Shalom. Alene Velkol Yisrael V'Yimru. Amen.
Amen.
I want to thank again Dr. Daniel Eisen for filling in last minute. It's a bit of a short staff here at Temple Emanu-El. I'm sure you can guess why, as we conclude with Adon Olam 631. Sorry about that.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'id Nasa B'chav Sokol Azai Malach Shemo Nikra Azai Malach Shemo Nikra B'Yachare Kiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'huya v'huve v'huya b'tifara v'huya b'tifara v'hu echad v'sheni lecham shilo lechakbira b'lireshit b'litachlit v'los v'hamizra v'los v'hamizra v'hu eli v'chai goali v'tzur